I had never thought my relationship with my mother-in-law Patricia would become anything more than a formal bond tied together by marriage. When I married Ethan, her only son, 3 years ago, I expected that his mom would be like most mothers-in-law, polite but distant, helpful but opinionated. For the first year or two, that's pretty much what we had: dinners together, birthday gifts exchanged, polite conversations over tea. Nothing too close, nothing too personal. Then Ethan got a new job that required us to move to another city. It was hard at first leaving behind familiar faces and family dinners, but we adjusted. About 6 months after the move, Patricia called and said she was planning to visit for a couple of weeks. Ethan was thrilled. He missed his mom, and I couldn't deny that I'd grown fond of her too, despite our relationship being more courteous than warm. When she arrived, she seemed unusually tired. Her energy was lower than usual, and she even mentioned feeling aches in her back and shoulders. I asked if she'd seen a doctor, but she brushed it off with a laugh and said it was just age catching up. Still, I kept an eye on her. One afternoon, after Ethan had left for work and I was cleaning up the kitchen, Patricia came into the room with a soft smile. "Emily," she said, her voice gentle, "would you mind giving me a quick massage? Just my shoulders and back, they've been so tight lately." I was surprised, not because the request was inappropriate, far from it, but because we'd never really had that level of intimacy. Still, I nodded. "Of course," I said, setting the dish towel aside. We moved to the living room where she sat down on the couch and leaned forward a bit. I got some massage oil I kept in our bathroom, warmed it up in my hands, and began gently working into her shoulders. She exhaled deeply, as if she had been holding in her tension for days. "You have good hands," she said softly. "Much better than the massage therapist I saw back home." I laughed a little, not really expecting praise. I wasn't trained after all. I just rubbed and pressed gently where I saw stiffness or knots. The moment felt oddly serene, like I was taking care of a part of Ethan even though it was his mother. Maybe that's why I felt so committed to helping her feel better. As I worked through her back muscles, she began opening up. She told me about her life before Ethan was born, about the struggles she'd faced raising him on her own after his father passed away, about the nights she stayed up worrying if she'd be enough. It was a side of her I hadn't seen before, vulnerable, reflective, even poetic in some ways. When the massage ended, she sat back and looked at me with glassy eyes. "Thank you, Emily, not just for the massage but for listening." "Of course," I said, touched more than I expected to be. "Your family." That evening, Ethan came home and noticed how much lighter his mom seemed. "You look like you've just come from a spa," he joked, and she chuckled. "She gave me a massage," Patricia said, nodding at me. "Best one I've had in years." After that, things began to change between us. Patricia started spending more time with me when Ethan was at work. We'd go for walks in the nearby park, do small art projects together at the kitchen table, or sit in silence with coffee. Our bond grew naturally, like sunlight nurturing a seed I hadn't realized had been planted. But a few days later, something unexpected happened that shifted the entire tone of her visit. We were folding laundry together when she asked, "Emily, can I tell you something that might sound strange?" I looked up, sensing the seriousness in her voice. "Of course." She hesitated, then said, "That massage, it meant more to me than just relaxing muscles. It reminded me that I'm still seen. I'm still human, still cared for. Sometimes when you get to a certain age, people treat you like you've become invisible." Her words struck me deeply. I reached over and squeezed her hand. "You're not invisible to me or to Ethan. We love you." She nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "I know, but it's different." That massage made me feel something I haven't felt in years. Like I'm not alone. I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her. After that day, she became more affectionate, not in a strange or uncomfortable way, but she started hugging me more often, thanking me for the little things I did, calling me sweetheart instead of Emily. At first, I welcomed it. Felt nice to be appreciated. But then I started noticing how intensely she looked at me sometimes. Her eyes lingered a bit too long. Her compliments grew more personal. Once she even said, "You're the kind of woman I would have wanted to be close to when I was your age." I tried not to overthink it. Maybe she was just lonely. Maybe I was reading too much into it. But still, I began to feel the weight of her presence in a way that wasn't quite comforting anymore. It was like she was holding on to me as an anchor, afraid to drift into isolation. One morning, she came into the kitchen while I was pouring coffee and said, "Emily, can I ask for another massage today?" I hesitated. "Sure," I said, trying to smile. "Your shoulders again?" "No," she said, her voice softer than before. "Lower back this time, if you don't mind." I swallowed hard. "Okay." We went through the same process. I kept my movements professional and gentle. This time, though, there was a tension in the air I couldn't ignore. She didn't speak. She just closed her eyes and breathed deeply. When I finished, I stepped away quickly and said, "I hope that helped." She turned slightly and looked at me. "It did. You always know how to make people feel better." That evening, I told Ethan that I was feeling a little overwhelmed. I didn't go into detail, but I asked if maybe we could take his mom out for the day, go sightseeing or something to get her mind off things. He agreed. The next day, we all drove to a botanical garden nearby. The fresh air, the colors, the movement, it brought life back into the dynamic. Patricia laughed and walked ahead of us at times, taking pictures, smiling with strangers. She looked free. That night, as she packed her suitcase for her return trip the next day, she pulled me into a tight hug and whispered, "Thank you for everything. I'll never forget how you made me feel." I said goodbye with a mixed heart. I felt closer to her than ever before, but also relieved that the invisible weight would be lifting. After she left, I spent a few days just thinking about everything that happened. I told Ethan more of it, though I left out anything that might confuse or hurt him. "She loves you," he said. "I think she just doesn't know how to express it without getting too emotional." "I think you're right," I replied. Over the following weeks, we received letters from her, handwritten, thoughtful, full of memories and gratitude. In one letter she wrote, "I've never felt so respected, so cherished as I did in your home. Thank you, Emily, for your time, your hands, and your heart." Reading that, I finally understood. The massage wasn't about touch. It was about presence, about someone being there without judgment or expectation. Patricia wasn't inappropriate. She was longing. And I was the first person in a long time who made her feel that she mattered. She still visits, but now we have clearer boundaries. We do puzzles, go shopping, bake together. Ethan joins us often, and our little family feels closer, fuller.